What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Art of Suffering podcast with Dalton Darnell. Today we have Gloria Hester, and I'm not even going to try to explain what Gloria does because I would butcher it. So we're going to let her do it. And anyways, Gloria, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for coming on. So let's start with your kind of your background in horses and kind of how you ended up doing what you're doing now.
Okay, I would love to do that. First off, thank you for having me. I always love talking with you, Dalton.
Yeah, you bet.
It's always a blast. So my background with horses, my mom was a trainer. She grew up with walking horses before they started all the things they started in that industry. And when they started that, she got out and went into quarter horses. So I was born on the cusp of her being with walking horses. And so by the time I was a toddler, quarter horses. But so I grew up in a very multidisciplinary horse world. And I was just that, a barn rat at my home. Because, I personally love to be just in the woods or at the river with my horses. I'm what some people might call a highly sensitive. And so being in a show arena was a lot for my nervous system. Having said that, I helped bring a horse to futurity level through English and Western both. And I've definitely seen the shady side of that industry. That mare, in fact, she was such a threat, they put Clorox in her water in Alpharetta, Georgia.
Good Lord.
Yeah, and fortunately it didn't kill her, thank God. But that's the thing that thank God I didn't see a lot of that growing up. That was a rarity. I was probably maybe 19 when that happened. But I was around a lot of different horsemen and a lot of hilarious horsemen, as you know. I think that's why when you and I connected, it's like, oh, we know we can speak that language, When you said, are you feeling froggy? Then that's when and I was like, got it, So that was a pleasure. But I want to say something I think about the horse community that I grew up around that is kind of fun to me. There was two horsemen that were wonderful horsemen, and they traveled the states, placing horses. And I like to say placing horses. Some people say trading horses,
Yeah, right.
My mom was great at placing horses. She would always say, if this horse doesn't work out, bring this horse back to me. Don't do anything else. Just come back, bring this horse back to me. I can't say that they were that way, but because I don't know, but anyway, one of the things I want to share that I think is so funny, one of the guys had authored this beautiful book on horsemanship, and on the cover of it, it's like, it looked leather bound. It looked like a family Bible, it was like this big, beautiful book. And on the cover of it, it said, Everything I Know About Horses by Hoss Self. That was the title. It looked gorgeous. But when you opened it up, every page completely blank.
Yeah.
And so
I feel his pain there.
Yeah. So it was fun to meet the different characters that I met in my childhood. I think they really definitely shaped me. When I was about 6, I used to stand on the loading ramp of the horse sales, as they go later into the night, like a big sale. People would be loading their horses out. And I would, this older gentleman that I just loved, that he treated me like his granddaughter. And he had a stethoscope because he had a heart problem. So I would go and get that stethoscope out of his truck, and I would stand on the loading ramp where they were loading the horses, and I would interview the cowboys. I'd say, so what do you think about this horse you got tonight? Like, what do you think about, they would talk to me like I was legit, journalist. And so I just...
Where was this? Where are you from originally?
So I grew up in Alabama, on the bank of the Tennessee River, literally on the bank of the Tennessee River. And the man that I called him Papa Leon, he had a barn in Birmingham, and everyone back in the day knew Leon White. He had a son named Duke White that was big in cattle, and but my mom just happened to be a very natural, had just a great eye with horses, a great ability with horses, and also to help horses who were struggling, and I grew up around that. So he wasn't my first horse, but one of my first horses had gotten, she bought him because he'd gotten wrapped up in a barbed wire fence and was just sliced, and she got him and nursed him back to health. And he was mine for a long time. But I thought every horse was my horse, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
100%.
yes, 100%. Every horse is my horse. So, I, you know, I just was a little bit of a wild child, meaning I would just sleep in my bathing suit in the summer, wake up, go get my horse, go swim in the river, stay in the woods all day, go
Mm-hmm.
places I wasn't supposed to go because it was too far away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I was not a total rebel, but sometimes I just wanted to go somewhere further away.
Yeah.
Um, so
Well, so all right, so it sounds like you were involved in some horse training when you were younger.
definitely, yes, I
Yeah,
was.
big time.
Yeah, yeah.
So now what discipline are we talking about? Are we talking cutting or
Oh, that's such a good question. Okay, so that the walking horse, a lot of the walking horses were still on the farm when I was young. A lot of
mm-hmm.
the older walking horses, and that was wonderful to be around them. So, but when my mom got involved with showing quarter horses, it just was a natural because she'd just grown up riding and she had a lot of world championship titles in the walking horse world when walking horses were not when what's happening has been happening for a long time. She got out of it when that started happening, so they were using all kinds of ways, unfortunately, to cause a lot of damage to the
Mm-hmm.
horses. So, as you and I both know, that can happen. That does happen in every horse industry.
Yeah.
And for about 20 years, I would never say a peep about that because the work I'm doing so medically with horses, I did not want that to keep me from being able to quote unquote get to the horses, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I would just zip it. It
Yeah.
didn't matter. Yeah. So, but over time, I realized like that's really not doing a service anymore. And I knew that early on. And so I just kept finding ways to bring communities together that were more aware of that and more mindful and just wanted to be a
Mm-hmm.
little different with their horses. But having said that, like a lot of my favorite horses to work with out west were all roping horses. I love working with them. And so I
Mm-hmm.
understand that a horse can have a great life no matter, whether they're being roped with or a horse can have a great life when they're a cow pony or even the walking horses as long as they're not soaring them, and
Yeah.
unfortunately people are willing to do devious things with the horses to get an edge, right? And that's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times that's not on the owner doesn't know. Maybe they're like a
Yeah.
dentist or whatever and they don't know what has
Mm-hmm.
happened. And I'm not going to pick on the walking horse industry because I know what the Arabian industry does. I know what the racing industry does. I know what quarter horse, it is what it is. So
Mm-hmm.
federal level dressage, so I kept finding ways to work with horses where people weren't so desirous of using their horses for competition because I knew even like in the dressage world, getting invited to go and do certain things, but I was like, okay, I'll just help these horses through the season while they're breaking them down. And then that just didn't appeal to me at all,
Mm-hmm.
especially after having watched Path of the Horse. I don't know if you've ever seen that documentary.
Mm-hmm.
It's Stormy May is who made it. She was a former trainer and she just started traveling the world and documented a lot of different. It's just a beautiful story, Path of the Horse, and you can find it on YouTube now.
Mm-hmm.
But the first time I saw it, I cried a lot because I knew I had seen that look around the showgrounds, and then it really just stayed with me. And I was already, I started studying yoga as a healing art, and what I was learning in yoga, therapeutic yoga, I was coming home and working with my dog who was 17 at the time and
Mm-hmm.
applying what I was learning in ways that worked for her. And my veterinarian was really involved in that and really encouraged me to continue. And
Mm-hmm.
even my thought process around food and all of this, even like what I was doing with my dog at 17.
Yeah.
And it was definitely a win and a success story. And fortunately I've had people who would say, no, you're not crazy, keep going,
Mm-hmm.
and that's been a theme for me, fortunately, because it it just gave me the courage I needed to have an open heart and an open mind, really.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of my early things that I was doing with my dog Nikki actually led me to write the book that I've got here, shamelessly plugging because
Mm-hmm.
it's new. It's going to release July 7th, 2025.
Yeah.
So, and it'll be hardcover, paperback, digital. But Real Food for Real Bodies, a lot of that I would say was inspired by these basically manuals I was writing for my dog Nikki. Now in this book I don't have any animal recipes, but it really I was already on that trajectory about things like frequency, to be honest. So,
Mm-hmm.
learning about things like green drinks and just different things, and about the nature of is something warming or something cooling to your body. And so I was using that therapeutically with my dog Nick, and my veterinarian just kept encouraging me. She's like, keep going, you're not crazy, and she's like, actually what you're saying is quantum physics. So and that was very early 2000s.
Hey, hang on just a second.
Yeah.
My dog. Speaking of dogs, mine's
Well, bring
whining
him
at the door.
in. Bring him in.
Come on, Bill. Come here. Okay. So, all right. Just to pause there for a moment. Warming and cooling the body
Yeah.
with food. Is that
Yeah.
what you just said?
Yes, I did.
Let's talk about this for a minute. Let's
I
dive into
would
that.
love
What
to.
does that mean?
I would love to. Okay, I want to give you some pragmatic examples because I think those are the ones that are really useful.
Okay.
So, this is one way you could talk about it. Let's say it's the summer, like in the South.
Yes.
Um, Foods, you know that expression, cool as a cucumber?
Yes.
It's true.
Yeah.
Cucumbers are a very cooling food, not only for our body, but for our nervous system. And so, even Dalton, if you don't mind, can I use you for a minute just as an example to teach about something in the field of
Yes.
Ayurveda? Okay. So Ayurveda is the sister science to yoga, and it's their
Mm-hmm.
form of medicine, and it's very old. It's ancient. And so in Ayurveda, someone who has the constitution you have, meaning like the coloring you have, the
Okay.
reddish hair, your constitution in Ayurveda would have a tendency to be hot anyway. Like think of
Okay.
red, right? Like a fire, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's,
Lots of gingers are sweaty. All the
yeah,
ginger, me and all of my ginger friends, we're sweaty people.
and
Like
known for
I
being
can.
like quick tempered. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like as a
Yes.
redhead, yeah, a
Mm-hmm.
ginger.
Mm-hmm.
So, and if you think about it, like ginger is so spicy too, and ginger's actually warming. It can be really medicinal, but I don't go into a ton of that in Real Food for Real Bodies, but I can go on what's one of my friends told me. She was very high up in the corporate world, and she said you go on tangents, but they're valuable tangents. And
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
just happen to be, I study a lot, and I love to apply things that are useful, whether that's like for humans, for horses, for dogs, cats. I
Yeah.
love to apply useful things. I don't have as many cat clients, but going back to the cooling and warming. So let's say it's the summer for you personally, especially, you would want to avoid spicy foods like a super hot salsa.
Mm-hmm.
According to Ayurveda, it would push you toward being like more, not only more hot, like physical sweating, but
Mm-hmm.
also maybe even push you more toward in Ayurveda, that constitution. One of the, I don't want to use words people don't know because that's just I will lose people. But let me think how to say this. It That tendency with that being a ginger, a spicy food could move you toward being more what's called pitta, or more predominant, like a forceful driving energy that's could, if you got off balance, it could veer you toward anger.
Okay.
And I
Okay.
saw with different horses, like in particular, and I've not ever written about this. I don't know if anyone has, but some horses could tend to be more of an earthy, grounded, slow moving horse, and their mental state is, they're not stupid. They're just a more slow moving kind of
Mm-hmm.
being, just like some people,
Yeah.
And then other horses are more like, I'm very animated today. Some horses are more like that too, and that's called vata in Ayurveda. It means air.
Mm-hmm.
So vata is very creative. It's like a quicker energy. And
Those are
then
the ones that be bucking me off, Gloria.
absolutely, yes, if you've got a horse that's more pitta, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
yes, and the vata horse, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's. I know it's like I want to keep it pragmatic. I want to. These things are real. It's like we can't see electricity, but it's real.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm doing my best, and I've always done that since I've started working with animals this way, to make things more pragmatic, so that So we can bridge that gap, and
Mm-hmm.
we can all have more of what we would love, more of what we need and want and
Yeah.
crave. Yeah.
Huh. So the reason I asked that is so I got diagnosed about, I don't know, 6 years ago with psoriatic arthritis, which is an inflammatory disease, right? It's autoimmune. Um, and I would consider that hot.
It is.
Like like physically my joints are hot,
Yeah.
right? So that's interesting to me. So maybe that is uh connected in some way because there's certain foods that I eat that make me feel like hot garbage,
Oh,
right? Just terrible.
yeah.
For instance, one of these foods is an apple.
Mm,
An apple literally physically makes me feel hot in my face. Is
okay.
that normal? Like, what is that?
Well, I think it's fantastic, first off, that you're noticing the effects that things are having on you to that degree. In my opinion, that's really smart to do that because no one no one else is you, and I know you know that, but I want to say that in regards to anything that we put in our bodies or anything that we're around,
Mm-hmm.
because we have a highly sensitive nervous system for a reason, and we always have incoming information unless we're trained to turn it off. And I could go deeply into the somatic facts around that too. There are other reasons we will turn it off. If we've had
Mm-hmm.
a lot of trauma, is we will turn it off. If we've had a lot of chronic pain, injury, conditioning, habituation, I could just say habituation and compensation. So like if you've
Mm-hmm.
ever, but the fact that you notice that, Dalton, is really important, and it's a good thing. So you could start to get curious, which is actually what I was doing with Nikki at the time. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like, oh, working with this, and then so you could get curious about what feels more cooling for you specifically when you eat. And I have a feeling you'd probably really enjoy some of the green drinks because they are very cooling, and the
Mm-hmm.
chlorophyll in certain circles for a long time, they've known that chlorophyll is a really great cleanser for us in so many ways. So anything green in the food.
Mm-hmm.
So uh, forever ago, before I learned any of this, I had come across these beautiful linens that were white and they were antique. And a friend of mine who's super into antiques, she told me, she said, just wet those linens and put them on green grass in the sunshine. And she said it will bleach them, but it won't damage them.
Huh.
And I think there's an information there for anyone who's willing to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
big time. The fabric
That's
had to be
crazy.
wet. The fabric had to be wet. It wouldn't work dry, but it would work beautifully wet in the sunshine. Yeah, on
Really?
green grass. Yeah. So
Huh.
if you've got like your great grandmother's table linens and they're kind of yellowed or like stained or anything, just wet them, sopping wet, and lay them, spread them out, like completely spread out on green grass for as long as it takes, and they will be beautiful. Yeah,
Huh.
and it won't damage them.
That's crazy. So I started maybe this is probably 6 weeks ago, trying to, not completely successful, but trying to um only eat things that don't make me feel like crap. And like literally that was my goals. Like, okay, so like every day I eat for lunch, I eat two string cheese sticks and then the chomps. Two chomps.
What are
And
chomps? I don't know what those are.
they're
Chomps.
just grass fed and finished
Oh,
beef sticks.
that's
The
awesome.
stick without the ick is what it says.
Oh,
But
that's
literally, I can eat two of those and I don't feel like garbage all day. But if I go eat Mexican food, I feel like straight dog water the rest of the day. So um, there's something to it to be sure. And I've dabbled in the nutrition and health, like working out, health and wellness, that sort of thing for about a decade now. But the mine was more of a focus on working out, like lifting
right.
weights,
Yeah.
strength training, that sort of thing. And I would eat just to fuel those workouts, not necessarily to make me feel good, whether I was on a cut or a bulk or whatever the case may
Right.
be.
Yeah.
But that's really interesting. What are some other cooling foods besides like a cucumber?
So, there's let me think about this for a minute, Dalton. When you mentioned like when you eat those chomps and you don't feel bad after eating those.
No.
So some of the things, it's a little bit like a lot of ancestral wisdom that we just lost. And thank God I studied with people that were retaining that wisdom and making sure that we have it. And so, one of those things to say when you say, what are cooling foods? You could see how you do with things like in the summer. So in the book, Real Food for Real Bodies, I have one of the ways that you can make what's called cultured vegetables. And those are probiotic foods that you make. So they're really rich in good bacteria and they're considered live foods.
Mm-hmm.
So it sometimes people do great with certain things and not others. And it's like for each individual, it can be really unique and really different for a million reasons, you know. I mean, we are all walking miracles, and the planet
Mm-hmm.
we're on also is quite miraculous.
Mm-hmm.
Really, what we in my world, what I've seen time and time again is that when we just line up with what is and line up with some things that are we're meant to learn, things just get better, and they get a
Mm-hmm.
lot better. It doesn't matter what the area is, you know.
Yeah.
So, and that's one of the reasons too. I really love the framework, like the background of Ayurveda, is because they know like the emotions aren't separate from the body and the body's not separate from the emotions. Same thing in the somatic world for sure. But
Mm-hmm.
so you could think about even what thoughts make you feel cooler, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's not only the food. But having said that, lemon water, like fresh lemon, like squeezed into water, is considered to be more dampening for your body. So you might experiment with that. You could say lemon, lime, you know, and just experiment with it and see.
Mm-hmm.
And then even just seeing the one of the things too about fermented foods is that those foods, once they're fermented, if they've not been pasteurized and they've been fermented properly, they're live and they're pre-digested too. So it gives your body a vacation because you're not having to work so hard to get the nutrients out of it. And also our microflora that we need to utilize our minerals, when we don't have enough good microflora, we can't even utilize our minerals anyway. So you can
Mm-hmm.
be eating better quality food, but it's the microflora that utilizes all the minerals.
Huh.
So putting things like kefir, you know, making kefir homemade. And one of my teachers, her name's Donna Gates. She authored a book called The Body Ecology Diet. And Donna's who I learned about all of these things I'm sharing with you. She's who taught me these things. And so she met a man years ago. And this story, I may be paraphrasing a little, but I think it's relevant for our conversation. And I know I have a lot of animal loving community and audience, and I know you probably do as well, right?
Yeah.
Well, I
No,
want to
for
share
sure.
this because I think it's relevant. So Donna was working with humans, but she somehow connected with a man who had these beautiful exotic birds, and he loves these birds and has a ton of them, and they're really beautiful. But they
Mm-hmm.
were not thriving. They, in fact, had lost all their feathers, and
Mm-hmm.
it was really sad. I mean, it was his birds were quite ill, and so but however that developed, the sharing of knowledge or wisdom, or you know, especially ancient wisdom, his birds got their feathers back. They're thriving. They're doing great. And so because of that, he opened this amazing restaurant. I was there decades ago in Atlanta called R. Thomas Deluxe Grill. I don't know if it's still there or not, but because, you know, I'm doing other things, but he opened this restaurant. The menu is 100% body ecology diet food across the board, like cultured vegetables on the table. And those are, you know, you have to make those you if you make those, you cherish those because you know what goes into making them. It's a
Mm-hmm.
craft, it's an art form. But and then they'll have like Celtic sea salt on the tables and real butter, and all the menu is body ecology menu. So he did that. He built that super cool restaurant and all these beautiful birds in there now because he learned something that he wanted to share with people. And
Mm-hmm.
it is like, I would say Donna's work is a very grassroots movement, as are some of the best things in the world. They're very grassroots. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's crazy. That's really cool. Hmm. I'm gonna have to buy your book, Gloria.
Well, I'll
Um,
send you a copy.
yeah, because that's pretty neat. And I got off of the arthritis medication probably 3 or 4 years ago because of the side effects, and have just been Tylenol and grit since then, which has worked great for me. I have flares from time to time, but man, the stuff the doctors put you on is just, I mean, It's just not great stuff for you. So let's explain a little bit about somatic wisdom to the people listening. We've said that word a couple of times, but kind of what that is and then how you use it in your functional life, you know?
Okay, I'd love to. So, there are really simple practices that you can do that you can learn. And what those practices do, they were put together as a body of work by a man named Thomas Hanna. And they coined Thomas developed a body of work called Hanna Somatics. And I feel like what Thomas did is helped people solve like the Rubik's Cube. Did you ever play? Are you good at a Rubik's Cube?
No.
Me either. I'm terrible at it. But I had a brother that could solve it in 2 seconds flat. It just was
Mm-hmm.
not a mystery to him. But I feel like that's what Tom's work did for the human body as far as reflexive patterns that we all share as vertebrate animals.
Mm-hmm.
So these reflexive patterns can be like if you hear an unexpected noise and you'll startle from the noise. And the reason we startle is because that is to keep us alive. So none of these patterns are bad. And that's one of the things I just want to say for the broader somatic audience. I feel like because of the internet, people tend to think of the nervous system as their enemy. And I feel like they're in a way kind of gaslighting themselves unknowingly, because our nervous system is to keep us alive.
Yeah.
And it's doing what it thinks it needs to do to keep you alive. You have to dip your toe in the water and find out that you could have a different experience, and find
Mm-hmm.
out that, oh, I didn't die, and actually something really good came from that. And even if you do die, so what? I mean, and what I mean by that is like, quit being a baby. We're here to live life. And if we
Yeah.
go, then we were meant to go at that time. I don't mean go play in the street like a dummy. I'm just saying our culture is so conditioned. We're terrified of death.
Mm-hmm.
And I won't say I'm immune from that. No one wants to suffer. It's the association with the suffering, I think, that is causing the suffering.
Yeah.
So I'm on a tangent, but I just needed to say that our nervous system is not our enemy. We need to be taught how to work with it so that we can condition our nervous system to be stronger, not weaker. And
Mm-hmm.
not many people understand that. They even that are involved in some of the somatic fields. It's just a gap in the industry. It's
Yeah.
barely an industry, but it's a legit thing that needs to come onto the scene in a very timely manner. It's important.
Mm-hmm.
And so I also want to say sometimes people can seem really calm and watery, and that's great. And there's also a time to be like, hey, pay attention, you
Yeah.
know, snap to it. And
Yes.
you know that around horses, right? Horses are fantastic. You will be a better human, everybody, better human, if you learn how to be a good horse person.
Yes.
We know.
Agreed.
So I'm preaching, Dalton. I apologize. What did you ask me? I'll go back to on top somatic education.
Yeah. No. All this relates. So like the title of the podcast is The Art of Suffering, right?
Yeah,
And part of suffering is learning how to suffer well. Like
yeah,
we're all going to suffer, period, end of story. But I think there's a large portion of our suffering that is brought it's we bring it upon ourselves out of ignorance. We don't
yeah.
know what to do.
That's
Like you're surrounded by food that is just garbage, and you're surrounded by
right.
things that make you feel good in the moment that destroy your life. You know what I mean? And
Absolutely.
so educating people
Sure.
on how to not do that is part of learning how to suffer better. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And find moments of absolute bliss. There's something in the food industry, they call it the bliss point, where they do a lot of studies where they say, okay, what are the chemicals that's going to create the bliss point? So people will want more of this. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's a thing, right? So that
That's
bliss
terrible.
point, it is insidious as well. And so you have to, I would say, the thread, I think, for me with food, working with animals somatically and humans somatically, the thread there, Dalton, is that it's teaching you to listen to your own feedback. That's the commonality through all of it. And
Mm-hmm.
also just how does our nervous system work, not just from a nutritional standpoint, but from a nervous system standpoint, because
Mm-hmm.
these foods they're also created to be highly addictive, like I mentioned the bliss point, but even more so. So the way humans have evolved in ways that I don't think is really helpful for humanity. So we have a system that's ancient, and that system is designed when we taste something sweet. It's designed to have an excitatory response,
Mm-hmm.
because in nature, nothing is refined. And if something's sweet, it means it's also really high in minerals. And that's our intelligence saying, consume all of this you can, because this
Mm-hmm.
is really good for you.
Yeah.
But if it's man-made and it's refined, because natural sugar cane, for example, is super high in minerals, but when they refine the sugar and that white sugar that people buy in the bag, it's the nervous system excitatory response right off the bat, and it's an anti-nutrient. It has absolutely no nutritional value in it. But
Mm-hmm.
that's not true for some foods, like say a blueberry, especially if it's a wild blueberry. It
Mm-hmm.
has a natural intelligence. And I know some people might make fun of this, but I don't really care anymore. Like
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
So good for you, right? Have fun. I
Yeah.
don't care. So, but those blueberries, wild blueberries, they have an intelligence that's very hardy because they
Mm-hmm.
make it like growing in crackly areas, and they grow in the wild in really harsh climates. And it's one of the things for people, going back to me saying about our nervous systems, we're meant to. That's why it's one of the reasons I fell in love with yoga before I knew this fact about yoga. But there's all kinds of yoga. I'm not going to say this is true for all kinds of yoga, because it's not. It's like people,
Yeah.
people are different. Yoga is the same thing. There's a lot of lineages, there's a lot of branches. What I can say, if it's a really intelligent lineage and it's taught really well, it will take your nervous system by design into stress and out of stress,
Mm-hmm.
into stress and out of stress. And it
Mm-hmm.
trains you to develop a very healthy tonicity in your vagus tone and throughout your whole nervous system. It's training you.
Mm-hmm.
But you also have to have really good listening to your feedback over a teacher as well when you're practicing yoga, because a lot of times you can end up with very serious injuries because humans can get very goal oriented, and it's like, look at this really cool party trick I can do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm better than you, clearly. Like,
Yeah.
so there's that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. The in and out of stress is it's funny how that has to be manufactured nowadays. Back in the day, your in and out of stress would have been
Right.
trying to get food,
Right. That's right.
or trying to hunt or whatever, build your house,
That's
the weather.
Yeah.
But nowadays, it's almost necessary for us to pull ourselves in and out of stress in order to train our mind, or maybe our nervous system, I guess,
Yeah.
on how to uh, function correctly.
That's
You
right.
know, um,
Yep. Is it okay if I please finish your sentence? There's something you said there that I'm like, yeah.
no, no, go ahead, go ahead.
It has to do when you said our nervous system, like we have to find ways to take us into stress and out of stress. It's by design in a way so that you see when things feel stressful, it's still okay, even though you might not think it is.
Hmm.
It's like if a tiger's chasing you, run faster. You know what
Yes,
I mean? Great,
yes,
right?
that makes
Or
complete sense.
yeah, and that's the wisdom of our nervous system.
Hmm.
So it's not that we run around like Chicken Little, the sky's falling, because that's not healthy for our nervous system. But sometimes, because of conditioning or modeling, people get into that space and it's like a herd. It's contagious, and it's very dangerous to be in that place
Hmm.
for humans. For humans, so because they'll just run into each other and hurt each other.
Hmm.
Like a herd of horses, they can run together at breakneck speed and they're shoulder to shoulder and they never even touch and they're this far
Yeah.
apart, because they've got that somatic intelligence. Um, but there was something you said, Dalton, about the stress. Here's what I want to say, why these tools like somatic education, yoga as a healing art, not just any yoga, but yoga as a healing art, and not just any somatic education, but somatic education as a healing art. Um, we're meant to be able to come into what's called rest and digest. And
Hmm.
some people say, oh, that's our parasympathetic system. But when we have a really healthy nervous system, we can go into excitement and come back out and go right to sleep. But as you know, many people can't sleep.
Hmm.
So is your pup in there?
Yes,
Yeah.
he is being a dink. Hang on,
No, he's being perfect.
he's wanting to play.
So
He
he's
likes to
having
chew on
fun. Yeah.
wires, so I got to watch that guy. Sorry.
No, I love it.
He'll
It's
he'll
great.
cut he'll cut my computer off.
He'll turn your stuff off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Say hello.
oh, he's adorable. What's his name? What's your pup's name?
His name's Chili Wop.
Chili what? Chili.
Chili Wop. It's what you do to a calf if he's being disrespectful. Like if
He's
they're being a turd, you
Chili.
chili whop them.
That's funny. That's
Kind
really
of
good.
knock them down, get a little respect.
Yeah.
But my son named him Chili, and then my wife added the wop on the end.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Chili
So-
Wop likes to chew a wire, so we got to be watching
Yes,
that
you gotta
guy
watch
here.
it,
That's expensive mistakes.
Yeah, for sure. You don't need your podcast equipment getting chewed.
No,
through.
no, not right in the middle.
No.
He can do it while I'm not in the middle of it. You know what I mean? I normally bring my 6-year-old, and my 6-year-old plays with him, but he had a dentist appointment today, so my dog babysitter is getting his teeth.
Yes, so you got, well, it's perfect. I mean, I'm so happy. I always feel blessed when there's a dog in the room. Truly.
That's right.
I do.
So, okay, back to where we were. Sorry about that distraction. If I go to grabbing a puppy, that's why.
Yeah, you got to grab the puppy.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't, yeah, that's all good. I guess it's like, I guess with the nervous system, Dalton, I just wanted to, for the sake of this conversation, as well as those who hear it, technology itself, our phones and computer screens and any screen, actually, it creates an excitatory response in our nervous system. And so because of that, our muscle spindle fibers themselves will get excited and they get tight. And so a lot of people don't realize, like, when our bodies get tight like that, it can create a lot of problems for us as a soma, an intelligent body that's alive and is capable of self-correcting, because of the fact that it just becomes stored in the low brain, and then we don't know we're doing it. And so then it's not a choice anymore. And so I would say too, a lot about one of the things I really enjoy living and sharing and teaching and embodying is that we have choice. And I want people to be able to give their horses also as much choice as they can. That's great for the horse and great for them. So, and I recognize, as growing up around horses, I understand that there can be a lot of limitations and challenges there. I'm not saying that there aren't. I just want to offer that opportunity for the horse and for the person somatically. Not through the lens of a trainer, but through the lens of a somatic educator.
No, for sure. And I've experienced this in my journey through horsemanship over the years, is like, you can almost always give your horse to choose the decision to choose you or to not choose you. I mean, that's where all of our bridleless stuff comes from, is like, if you make it a good deal for them and they understand that you know how they communicate, they'll choose to be with you. They're some of the most incredible partners on earth, and they and even if they do decide to leave, if you stick with them, that you can regain that connection with them, and it's a pretty unbelievable experience to have a connection with a horse like that. And so our inadequacies when it comes to communicating with the horse is the problem. It's not that the horse can or cannot communicate with you. It's our ability to discipline ourselves to the communication in a way that the horse understands, if that makes sense.
It does.
That's it's an unbelievable thing. If you guys haven't watched our freedom video, the doctor and bridleless stuff, that's achievable. That's an achievable thing. That horse has the choice to stay or to go, and it chooses to stay. And the reason why it chooses to stay is because it's a good partner. It's one of the most beautiful. It's chewing up my papers now. It's one of the most beautiful pictures of the God-man relationship there is on earth, is a cowhand and his horse, or a rider and their horse. If you picture God as the hand and you as the horse, there's a lot of work that can get done if you choose to follow that guy. So
that is so true. Yeah.
It's a pretty amazing thing. So, Gloria, explain to me a little bit, like, okay, so if we're talking about somatic wisdom, and we're talking about the nervous system, how much does the spiritual walk have anything to do with that?
For me, it has everything to do with it. And I think it's one of the things that has been lost about if you really feel genuinely pulled to practice any sort of spiritual observances, those by design can be incredibly healing for our nervous systems. And I think that's something that's been lost. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't mean that you have to adhere to what someone told you to think or to be at all. Quite the opposite. It's really that an inner relationship, and it just so happens that some of those practices that have been handed down are really healing for our hearts, minds, bodies, souls. So our brains thrive in silence, and we don't have enough silence now. We need about 2 hours of silence a day, and we usually don't have that. It's
Any.
any.
What
That's
is
right.
silence?
That's
What?
exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Let's just take a moment and listen to it for a moment.
Yeah. That's uncomfortable, Gloria.
Is it?
It's never silent at my house, dude. My kids are freaking whooping and riding from daylight to dawn, baby. Them suckers.
Yeah, you're like, what is
Golly.
silence? Yeah.
Yes.
And also we're conditioned not to allow for space there. That so any intelligent movement practice is going to benefit the nervous system in some ways because we're designed to move. So there's
So
that.
that's what somatic
Yeah.
wisdom is
Uh,
a say that again?
so any intelligent movement that's done slowly and repetitively and with awareness and with comfort is key. So when you're working somatically, that saying no pain no gain is not, if that saying, if you're on that train, you're gonna miss the somatic
Part of
boat.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you'll miss it because, and we're so conditioned and so used to pushing through things that when you start to learn, when you start to live life and look through a somatic lens, it will touch every area of your life by design if you can allow it to.
Mm-hmm.
Because the nature of it is, if you feel tension, you've gone in the wrong direction. You want to step back. It's kind of like you dip your toe in the water, see what you get from that. If you feel pushback, step back,
Mm-hmm.
and then reorient and recapitulate. And
Yeah.
that way, and so the physical practice of it, I was talking with one of my students last night, and I told her that you and I are going to be talking today, and she said, I hope you'll teach some guided movement the way you did I was on a podcast called Science and Spirituality, and I wanted their listeners to have an experience of what somatic movement feels like. And she said, I hope you'll do that. She said, because it's really hard for anyone to understand unless they have experienced it.
Mm-hmm.
And she went on to share that when she was in retreat with me, she said, I noticed when we would do some sitting twist, she said, when we started, I could only turn so far. And she said, then when we finished, she said, I could twist to each side a full foot further to each
Mm-hmm.
direction. And she said that is the proof, that her body was so tense and she didn't realize it, that then after working somatically, she had a full foot of turn each direction in her body that she didn't have access to before. And that is very common. I'd say 99% of people who experience it do have that experience
Mm-hmm.
from working together. And when she said that, it really caught my attention for the fact that I had worked with a horse, a yearling, who was about to be auctioned at one of the largest thoroughbred sales, or the largest thoroughbred sale in the world. I worked with her somatically before she went to be auctioned.
Mm-hmm.
And the owner told me, he said, she's stepping under with her back legs a full foot further than she was as
Mm-hmm.
a yearling. So when they auctioned her, he said, I thought she would have brought about 40,000. He said she brought, I think he said 82,000. It was either 80 or
God
80.
Almighty.
Yep. And I knew when I saw her after working with her, when I saw the kind of presence she had, because she had a presence to her. And whether we realize that or not, we see that. We all have mirror neurons.
Mm-hmm.
Across the species, we have mirror neurons. That's why someone like Charlie Russell could go live with grizzly bears and they didn't kill him.
Yeah.
So it gets really fascinating. In my mind, it gets really fascinating. But so it's no different for a horse who can step under 12 inches more after working together somatically. And when I say together, Dalton, that's because if I'm working with you somatically, I'm not doing anything to you
Mm-hmm.
whatsoever. I'm I'm allowing you, I'm facilitating the process for you to have a really good conversation between your body and your brain. And I could say between your sensory system and your motor system, because those
Mm-hmm.
are the two that they're meant to communicate really clearly. But when we go
Mm-hmm.
sit in a wooden desk at 4 years old, we start to lose it.
Yeah.
We're meant to be able to communicate really clearly between the sensory system and the motor system. And if you don't have a good motor plan, you'll wreck your body. And it's true for
Mm-hmm.
any animal. And there are many reasons why we no longer have good motor plans. An example of that would be if you went to open what you thought was a heavy door. I don't know if you've ever done this. You go to open what you think is a heavy door, and you just about yank the door off the hinges. Have you ever done that?
Yes.
That's like not a great motor plan because you're anticipating it's going to be a heavy door. So you are recruiting. Your brain is sending lots of motor units to particular muscle groups for it being a heavy door.
Mm-hmm.
And you can like yank your shoulder out of socket with something like that if you don't know,
Yeah.
or you measure like how far you think a step needs to be, those kinds of things.
So this would be considered. So I'm just using my phrases that I know. So this would be similar to a mind muscle connection.
Yes, and I would love to say a way that I came to say this in a way because I was doing a lot to bridge the gap, especially like trying to say something online that hadn't been said. So working in the field of yoga therapy and at the same time studying with the horses and this kind of thing. So in yoga therapy, we would talk about things like if we didn't have our muscles, we'd just be a bag of bones on the floor, right? You
Yeah.
can't really stand up, right? Because you're just
Yeah.
a bag of bones on the floor. So your muscles are, you know, in that world, in that ideology, or are organizing your bones.
Yeah.
And then, but I was like, okay, then to take that a step further, well, what is causing your muscles to pull you to standing? What's causing your muscles to allow you to sit down gracefully,
Mm-hmm.
ideally? And what that is your brain.
Yeah.
And so I think one of the reasons this work is so challenging for people to learn is because you're using your brain to learn about your brain.
Mm-hmm.
So the woman I was mentored by was Eleanor Criswell Hanna. She passed away last September, and she mentored me for almost 20 years. And we had numerous lengthy conversations about all kinds of things. And she was so gracious, to for us to share. And she really modeled some aspects that, and then other aspects. I'm like, I'm me. I say things a certain way. I'm, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I have to say this. It's like I get a little hot, but it is so funny. Uh, oh, okay. So, I'm from the South. I move out west to continue studying yoga therapy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in a mecca of where people go to learn to teach. It's a true
Yeah.
mecca for that. Just an incredible community. And then I reconnected years later with my high school boyfriend, and he was always super sweet. And I hadn't, talked to him since high school, super sweet. And he said, I talked, I can't believe I'm going to tell this because Eleanor would be like, don't tell that story. But it's funny. I think it's funny because, I just do. Anyway, he said to me, he said, I talked to my aunt and she said that you moved out west and joined a cult. And I
Oh
said,
gosh.
And I said, well, if working with animals somatically and helping people walk again that can't walk and helping animals, like helping, because I love to teach the owner of the animal how to work with their animal. That's just
Yeah.
what seems appropriate to me and right and cool and all these things. So I said, if being involved in all that means that I'm part of the cult, I said, then consider me the cult leader.
Yeah.
And he laughed and I laughed and we both laughed. Well, when I told Eleanor that, she was horrified that I said that
That people
because she
thought it was a
knows.
cult.
Yeah, she, and I get it. I mean, she, was pivotal in a lot of important work. And when people don't understand something, oftentimes they will attribute it to things that aren't, they just attribute it to things that aren't the case. I mean, my little heart's pounding right now just telling you.
Yeah.
And even Western Horseman magazine, probably in 2007 or 2008, I worked with a woman's horse out west, and she said, I'm friends with the editor of Western Horseman. I know they'd love to do a story on you. And I said, oh, no, 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 no. Because that fire welled up in me that was fear.
Yeah.
Because I thought, what will people think of this? They're going to
Mm-hmm.
judge. So, I mean, I'm sweating telling you this, Dolphin. Sweating.
Don't do that. It's gonna be okay.
Yeah, it's
They'll
going
be
to be
all
okay.
right. And
Yeah.
and
So,
that's the thing about it, man. Ignorant. A guy said on the podcast not long ago. He said, "Man, what did he say? It was such a good quote. It was, brutality begins,
I know
when
it.
our yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
I do.
Brutality begins at the end of our knowledge, or
That's
something
right.
like that.
Yeah.
And that's no different for people's words. When they
Yeah.
don't know stuff or don't understand it, and that's the problem with it all. To me, is like trying to understand every ounce of it is the fun part.
It
That's the
is.
part that's cool. And just being someone who suffers chronically from something that, uh you can look at it like God gave it to me. You can look at it like my mom gave me too many antibiotics when I was a kid, or whatever you want to say, where autoimmune diseases come from. But I have two options here. I can either try to understand it on a really high level, or I can just be pissed and mad about it. And
Absolutely. And anger's hot. So
yeah, doesn't make no sense. Doesn't
anger's
make no
hot. So we'll
sense.
just heat it up more. So,
Yeah.
Dalton, I'm really glad you shared this. I love sharing with you. I know I get so animated because there's so much I just love to say. But when you said that, I would love to share something that comes more from an energetic perspective, about how you can work with yourself and your animals that can be really useful for people, if they have an autoimmune diagnosis. So that's one of the reasons I love the background of something like Ayurveda, something like Chinese medicine, something like yoga as a healing art, because they know so many things, and those practices are thousands of years old, where our
Mm-hmm.
system is about 100 and something years old. So there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot, yeah. But as you said that, there's something called triple warmer. Triple warmer is a part of us. It's called triple warmer. It's a part of us that stands guard at the door. And you know how, like, if you get a knock on the door, your dog will bark, and the dog's
Mm-hmm.
like, friend or foe. And your
Yeah.
dog's usually, if it depending on the dog, oftentimes it'll be like foe, right?
Yes. Immediately.
Yeah, and other dogs are like, oh, I'm going to bark, but it's friend, and they know it's friend, right? But
Yeah.
triple warmer, if triple warmer gets overactive, triple warmer will see everything as a threat. So it's the guard of our immune system, if you will, triple warmer
Mm-hmm.
energy in the meridian body. So there are things you can do. You can do this with yourself. You can do it with your animals if you want, and it helps to calm triple warmer down.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime someone says immune, anything immune like that, or even if you've just been through a lot, which who hasn't been through a lot, right?
Yeah.
So it's just how we process it is the difference.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference between something that is actual, like, residual trauma, is because of how we don't or do process it. So the
Mm-hmm.
same event could be with two different animals or two different people. It's the way the brain processes it.
Yeah.
So, but triple warmer, this would be a practice we could do together. I'll teach it to you, to your listeners. You can do it and use it and see
Let's do it.
if it's cooling and calming. So what you'll do, you can take either hand to the side of your opposite temple. So some people, if they're listening, so I'll say, I know people know not to do this while they're driving. But
Right.
so yeah, you have one hand to the opposite temple inside of your
Okay.
forehead. And what you'll do is you'll breathe in through your nose, just whenever you're ready, and slide your hand behind your ear, like above your ear and down behind, and down the side of your neck, down the top of your shoulder. Exhale through your mouth, audibly, and just act like you're pulling off a glove off the little finger side of your hand, and just shake your hands out.
Okay.
And breathe naturally. Just notice your breathing.
Mm-hmm.
And you can say, oh, it's going to feel really good to breathe out, or it's going to feel really good to pause, or it'll feel really good to breathe in.
So what is the frequency of this? So how many reps?
I like to do 3. I like to
Mm-hmm.
pause. And one of the things I like to incorporate, because of my somatic background, this technically is not a somatic it does not come from the somatic, that wisdom does not come from the somatic field, but I'm very involved in a lot of wisdom.
Yeah.
And I understand a lot from different things, and I like to use what works, right?
Mm-hmm.
With one horse, it's not hands-on. Your hand is a foot off that horse's body.
Mm-hmm.
With another animal, you're not even in the room with that animal. With others,
Yeah.
it's teaching the owner to be hands-on with the horse in a way that works for the horse. So I like to use about 3 times. So you can repeat that again, and you can just you can notice sometimes you may need to take an exhale first to get to the inhale that feels good. And then you'll just slide your hand above your ear, down behind your ear, down the side of your neck, shoulder, exhaling through your mouth. And like you're pulling off a glove off the little finger side of your hand. And if you want, you can shake your hands off like you're kind of shaking off rainwater off your fingers.
Mm-hmm.
And with intentionality is such a powerful thing. They've done a lot of scientific studies on intentionality, and it will blow your mind. And we could do a whole other podcast on that if you want to, because it's cool. And you could also say prayer is intentionality too, right?
Yeah, no,
because
facts.
it is. Yeah. All right, so we'll do one more, same side. Just you can take an exhale to get to your inhale. And when you're ready, notice the contact of your hand against your shoulder, against your arm, exhaling like you're pulling off a glove. Okay, just rest for a minute, and we're just going to allow your body to get some feedback from that, whatever comes to you.
Yeah, I can still feel my hand on my head, like right here.
Yep.
That's weird.
Yep. So it's like assessing the sensory information, right?
Yeah.
All right. And so
are you supposed to do both sides?
Yes, we'll do second side. Yep. I want to give you an opportunity to just kind of take it in, and you can pause in between, or let's go for it. Okay, you'll have your hand to your second side, and then when you're ready, you can just exhale to get to your inhale if you need to. And then when you're ready, inhaling, sliding above and behind your ear, breathing audibly out of your mouth, and pulling off that giant glove off the little finger side of your hand. Yeah.
So this is called the 3 what?
Triple
warmer.
We're reversing triple warmer. And this work, I learned about this work from a woman named Donna Eden. And Donna has a program called Eden Energy Medicine. Mm-hmm. Donna was just what would be considered in the free world a natural healer, and saved people's lives because she was very intuitive and there at the right time. Mm-hmm. And that's just documented. That's not an opinion. Yeah. She kept a man from bleeding out. And the surgeon was like, "How did you do that?"
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Gloria, we're gonna get assassinated. This is like fighting big pharma stuff. You got to chill out.
Well,
Gloria, we're gonna get smoked.
Why do you think I did not do many things I was ever invited to do until now?
That's crazy.
It's true.
Huh.
It's true.
It's all for money.
It is, absolutely. And, money's not the problem here. It's funny, I had a conversation with, I hope she won't mind me saying her name, a horsewoman that I admire and hold her in esteem, and also do not put her on a pedestal. Her name's Leslie Desmond, and I actually mentioned you guys to her. But I asked her, I said, "Leslie, why are things kind of headed the way they're headed, And she knew like what I meant, and, we just kind of speak that language. And she said, "Because we didn't author the plan."
Yeah.
I was wondering about like why some groups are so much more organized in a way that is so, well, it is what it is. I'm just going to leave it at that. And I'm like, I don't understand. And she said, "Well, because we didn't author the plan." So I really love, lately, just because of having written Real Food for Real Bodies, I was like, "Hey, Chat GPT, help me out with some hashtags." I don't know anything about hashtags, right? Like, help people who need this, help them find it, and because oftentimes, like, what will happen with me, someone will call me about their horse, and I'll meet them on Zoom, and we'll work with their horse. I'll teach them how to work with the horse and this kind of thing. And then they'll say, "Hey, I think I want you to work with my mom." And then, it just becomes like this whole family of four legs and 2 legs. And it's a wonderful thing, and also food is involved with that oftentimes, because if you're not properly nourished, your nervous system is going to be in a fight or flight. And you can't respond the way you would want to. So sometimes people want to be a certain way, but they're not giving themselves what they need to be able to be that kind of person. It's like when they used to give horses sweet feed and the horses were super hot.
Yeah.
Like fiery, and because you can't, so it's not just the sweetness. It can be they don't just have enough nutrients. So like magnesium, about 85% of the population is deficient in magnesium. And so taking a nice Epsom salt bath and letting your body absorb all that magnesium, especially for the fact that so many people's digestive tracts are damaged and they have what's called a leaky gut, unfortunately. And I do not play a doctor on TV. I do not pretend to be a doctor. I don't want to be a doctor. God bless the doctors. They're going to need help as well. That's just a fact.
Yeah.
If they don't already. And there are many who know this now. And it, so I don't mean to. So hopefully everyone, people like Dr. Zach Bush and Dr. Christiane Northrup, and you talk about, when you said, Gloria, you're going to get us assassinated. Well, somebody has to do it.
Right. No, that's facts. That's true. Yeah. And it's tough because, I mean, shoot, I'm over here putting ivermectin on my psoriasis. You know what I'm saying? Freaking horse warmer. Yeah. Let's go.
Yeah. Well, it was a Nobel Prize winning pharmaceutical, I think since the 50s, and was used for a lot of health challenges for people.
Yeah.
So
that's crazy.
It is.
It's $15 at the dadgum Tractor Supply. You know what I mean? That's crazy.
There was a historical shift, Dalton. The beginning of things. I think I'll let other people tell some of these stories because, it's probably safer to let other people tell some of the stories. And, Eleanor said to me early on, she's like, your job is to stay in the light. She's like, teach yoga and teach somatics with horses and stay in the light, and that was helpful. So, because I know, like, you have to strategically be a certain way. And there are so many people in my world that I know they may not have a clue what I'm talking about right now and what you're talking about right now. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's part of the one of my podcast episodes is I taught the progression of a new skill. And it's the same way with learning everything. And once you understand the stages of this, it's, if you start operating from the stages of learning a new skill or learning a new thing, the step one is unconscious incompetence. You don't know that you don't know, right? Like, and it's okay that you don't know. And then soon, like sitting here talking with you for the last hour, like you start realizing you become consciously incompetent. You start noticing that, like, okay, well, all the things that I've learned over the years about health and wellness due to working out or trying to have a certain physique or trying to be strong or whatever is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to actually having a healthy body and a healthy nervous system.
That's right.
Because maybe for me, like, my goal has always been to be strong. And I don't mean a little bit. I mean like strong. And so the no pain, no gain thing is legitimate. Like it's to get to that point, it's going to hurt. I mean, you have to make it.
So with weightlifting, the muscle fibers itself by design with weightlifting, you're literally on purpose, tearing the fibers off so that they can rebuild bigger. And that makes perfect sense to me. What ideally what you would have is what's called in the field of yoga, the balance between what's called stiram and sukham, which means will and surrender. So you can think of the strength as your will, and then you can think of the other part as the surrender part. So which could be seen as flexibility to some degree. And so what I notice is someone who tends to be like extremely musculature, they can pick a sofa up, no problem, over their head, right? And they're fine with that. They just oftentimes can't move very freely. Like if they drop a sock, they can't sometimes pick it up.
That's me.
Yep. So
that's me.
So it's introducing the balance between stiram and sukham, will and surrender. And I think that's a really good analogy for going into like masculine and feminine. You can, it's a solid thing that you can experience in your world. And we might have too much of one or not enough of another, but we don't know that. And so if we have too much of one and not enough of another, we can find ourselves in pain and limitation. So someone who's like super bendy, super flexible, they actually oftentimes will have a lot of pain and a lot of instability in their joints because they
Mm-hmm.
don't have enough steer. They don't have enough will,
Strength.
meaning
Yeah.
in their physicality.
Yeah.
So I think it's a really intelligent practice. It's just, how is it applied? Because you and I, we talk theory, and we'll go back and work with triple warmer a few times on that second side. But at least it's like it's giving you the information so that you can start to think in a way that maybe you've never thought of before.
Oh,
And
100%. It's balance.
yeah, yeah,
That's what it is. It's functional balance.
functional
So
balance.
you want to be strong and you want to be flexible. You don't want to have to hold your breath when you put your shoes on. You know what I mean?
I do.
But you also don't want it to be hard to open your car door. Like
Right.
there's things that are there's both. So there's a problem with being strong and not flexible. There's also a problem with being flexible and not strong. So that
Yeah.
these two things work together.
Mm-hmm.
And then you add in the side of it that everybody's got gut problems and all sorts all sorts of things, to where you start thinking differently. Like through your book, you start applying these principles to the way that you eat, the way that your wife eats, the way that your family eats. And then hey, guess what? Your children's children don't have these freaking problems.
That's exactly right, because those
Like,
nutritional deficiencies, people can be born with those, according to the research of Dr. Weston A. Price, who authored a book called Nutrition and Physical Degeneration. And he authored it for his scientific community. It's about this thick, wrote it in the 1930s or 40s, and it's still valid. You don't have to quote Sally Fallon, you don't have to do a new study to see that gravity exists.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
No joke.
Yeah.
Man, that's awesome. Gloria, that's really cool. That's really cool. Well, tell everybody where they can find your book and where they can find you, and how they can get in touch with you if they want to work with you and all the things.
I would love to. All right. And we'll have to remember to reverse triple warmer on the second side.
Oh, yeah. We'll do that.
We'll do it.
Hey, you do this part first, and then we'll finish.
I'll do it. Okay. So let's see. Well, if you like social media, on most all of the social platforms, YouTube, everything is under Gloria Hester. My last name is Hester, which in Denmark and Norway is their word for horses. Shout out to them.
Oh, that's cool.
Gloria Hester, horses. And let's see, just Facebook, Instagram, all the things is Gloria Hester. And my website also is gloriahester.com. And I'd love to connect. The book is called Real Food for Real Bodies. It's available July 7th, 2025 in all three formats, whichever you prefer. And I'm super excited about this book, Dalton. It's been on my heart since 2012. And I said prayers probably in 2010 or 2008, somewhere in there, about writing books that, dare I say, that would bless millions of people and millions of animals. That was my request. And it was coming from the place of it was not connected to the money situation, because I didn't have any concept for what that would mean in the digital or publishing world. But I thought about today when I set the book up and behind me, and I was like, okay, I'm going to take a page from the playbook of Miss Dolly Parton herself. So
no, that's legit. That's a good deal. I mean, what do you think that is?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, this ain't no game.
You're fantastic.
We don't sell paper towels, though. So
you might, though.
You can get those at Walmart.
Yeah.
So they can get it on Amazon and your website, or
yes, they can on the website. And anyone who's listening, if you want to come to the summer, I'm going to have a live virtual birthday party, just like you and I are meeting right now, for the book itself. And there's a mare named Hutzpah that's in the photo. So if you go to my YouTube channel, Gloria Hester, you can find me there, or gloriahester.com, and get on the list. It'll say, let's see, love more. You can, if you want to be like on a newsletter, which I don't spam people. I only send something out when it feels true to me. And it will be either something I think's humorous, something I think's useful, something I think you'll learn something, maybe a recipe at Christmas, that kind of stuff. Just because I just love people, and I just want to share. That's what I want to do. And thank you for helping me do that. I know you, if I listen, so listen to you last year, we'd share more. But
that's right.
I just want to encourage people, sign up whatever platform where you enjoy being, and
Mm-hmm.
connect with me there, because honestly, like, you never know what my next rodeo will be.
That's
rodeo
right.
will be.
That's right. She's a mover and a shaker now. Don't you let her nervous system chillness confuse you. Gloria is on the move.
You're so sweet.
That's awesome. Okay, so let's finish. It's
Yeah.
my right side. It's your
Thank you,
left side.
Dalton. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so
Okay.
we're here.
Yeah. So you'll just have your hand on opposite temple. Take your
Am
time.
I pushing?
You no, not at all. Unless it
No.
feels good. If you want to use a little more pressure because it feels pleasant, go for it.
Okay.
Or just a light touch, or even off. You can experiment of with off of your body, just more in your auric field, even. So
Okay.
yeah, all right. And take your time. When you're ready, breathing in, sliding your hand above your ear, behind your ear, down the sides, shoulder. Breathing out audibly through your mouth. Like you're pulling off a glove, little finger side. Yeah.
Okay.
Becoming aware of how you feel, so important. Getting the feedback. And your honest answer sometimes will be, I don't really know. And that's, you're asking the question so that you're learning how to get the answer.
So would we be doing this in the morning or the evening?
You can do this anytime, day or not, that it occurs to you to do it. We'll do one
Okay.
more that with that. You can choose to do same side or opposite side.
Mm-hmm.
Breathing in, breathing out through your mouth audibly, like an audible sigh, and pull off a glove. Releasing, shaking out, noticing your body. With practice, any kind of practice, these kinds of practices, the more you do them, the more quickly your nervous system recognizes and can go into the place that you would love, basically.
Mm-hmm.
The place you want to be, like the place you want to be in your nervous system when you relate to your children,
Mm-hmm.
or your dog, or your horse, or your best friend, or it's conditioning you just like you would condition a horse. It's helping in a really supportive way. There's so many other things I would share, Dalton. I do want to share one more, if it's okay.
Yeah, you bet.
Okay, so for anyone, if they feel like they're in a stressful situation and they're around others and they don't want to, reverse triple warmer at a table in a restaurant or this kind of thing at a meeting, they can just sit in, if they're sitting in a chair, just take their hands to the top of their thighs and just above their knees, just lightly tap your thighs just above your knees, just kind of like a little butterfly tap. Your hands can rest on your thighs, and your fingers are just above your knees. You can't get it wrong. And just tap and notice the sensation. And notice your breathing. And just tap on your thighs. And that will help bring you back out of what's considered more of a, you could call it like a stress response.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one you can do as well, if you don't want to do something so obvious.
Yeah. So it's basically just taking your nervous system's attention away from whatever's freaking you out and giving it something else to grab a hold of.
That's actually one very valid reason why that modality can be so helpful. It's not the only reason. There are certain points you can work with that are associated with the meridian body, and they're working in the very same way acupressure and acupuncture, working with the meridian body the same way they are. And so I'm happy to share any of that. I had a horse client last night who, her mare had an injury, and I asked her if she would tap with her mare, and she said, wow, that really helped her so much, even though I don't think she thought it would. I just knew, because I've been doing this work for a really long time. It would help her recover from the event of the actual injury, not even necessarily the injury itself, but we hold from events as well. So, and so this.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, that puts a spot in a horse so fast. Really, even if they don't get hurt, it'll put a spot in them.
Yeah. So, and going to what you said, and I know we're going to go, is about I want to say this because I feel like there must be someone listening who needs to hear it, maybe on their horse's behalf. When we talked about the wheel between balance and surrender, steerum and succum, strength and flexibility, horses need that, especially if you're asking a lot of them, and they will lose flexibility because of habituations, and they get into patterns just like we do. they'll lose
Mm-hmm.
that flexibility. And it doesn't mean they can't get it back, but it's not through stretching them. It's through helping their nervous system recognize the pattern that it's holding. Because the brain, if we stretch a contracted muscle, the brain will override that within about 15 minutes. The brain will put the resting length of the muscle back to where it was before you stretched, and sometimes even shorter, because we have these receptor sites. They're called Golgi tendon organs, and they will tell the brain, they'll feed back to the brain that it needs to keep the muscle from tearing. So it's a very intelligent system that we have been taught to try to override, and it isn't working at any level.
Huh.
On a physical level or global. You know what I mean? It's not working.
Yeah.
It doesn't work on any level to not adhere.
That's interesting.
You can measure it, Dalton. If we had like biofeedback equipment, you can measure the resting length of the muscle and see it with your own eyes, even if you have a nervous system that can't feel it yet.
Yeah. Huh. That's wild.
Yeah.
So when are you writing your next book, Gloria?
I'm currently working on 3.
Very good.
Simultaneously.
3 of them?
3.
God, no, Gloria.
That's
a lot of books.
One of them I'm bringing to publish sooner. I authored it in 2007. It's yoga therapy for teens that live in residential programs, 12 to 19, because they're in a serious situation where they're treated a little like they're in prison because they came probably from a bad home, you know.
Yeah.
So that I authored that for that particular group of beings on the planet, 12 to 19, who are in residential programs. I authored it for people who are already teaching in the field of yoga, yoga as therapy. And so that is, it just needs its illustrations, you know, that kind of thing. And I fortunately have a wonderful friend who is going to help me, because I'm not super techie, as you know. I'm doing my best. But and then also a book of my animal stories of working with different animals, and personal stories of some of my animals. And I have no idea what that book will be called. I don't know the title, but it'll be about working with animals the way I work with animals, and also just experiences I've had with them in different parts of the world. And then another one to help people like me who are very who ask for guidance, and also they're not very techie. So I'm partnering with a woman named Tracy Sott to author a book on balancing strategy and soul for people who want to bring something to the world, no matter what stage they're in. Clearly, you're not afraid of tech, and you're clearly also very soulful. But it would be, I would say, more, you know, for people who are navigating those two worlds and helping them know how I'm sharing how I've done it, and Tracy's sharing how she's done it. And we're bringing that together as a resource tool for people who need it and want it.
Well, that'll be awesome.
Thank you.
That's cool. Well, when your next one drops, we'll have you back on, and we can dive back into the somatic world.
I love it.
And I'm going to use my triple warmer tactics. I'll let you know.
So you're calming triple warmer. Yep.
That's right.
It'll give you
we will. I need plenty of that. I'll tell you what. Well, Gloria, thank you so much for coming on, and we'll link everything in the description, guys. As always, if you need help, if you just want to visit, whatever, Dalton at 310edu.com. Reach out to me, give me a call. We'd love to help. So we will. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.